Hey guys, thanks for joining me. We are taking a look at a couple of new Makeup Forever products. First is their MatteVelvet Skin Concealer. This is one that I'm really excited to try out. And also the revamped Rouge Artist lipstick formula. And I have 6 shades here, which I'm going to lip swatch for you guys. I love the MatteVelvet Powder Foundation. However, I've never been able to get the MatteVelvet Liquid Foundations to sit right on my skin, simply because I have slightly normal to dry skin. So I'm curious to see if this is going to work for me or if it's just going to be a creasy, cakey, dry mess by the end of the day. That said, I'm pretty confident that this is going to sit quite nicely on general skin areas that are not overly dry. So if you have blemishes that you need to cover up or you have combination oily skin, I expect this will perform relatively well. Now, I'm a little bit more worried that it's not going to sit nicely around the eye area where I'm a bit more dry, but I may be completely wrong, so we'll give this a test try. Packaging wise, this comes with that fat, huge doe foot applicator that you usually see with most sculpting concealers. In the tube, you get 9 milliliters for the Makeup Forever. With Tarte Shape Tape, you get 10, and with the Too Faced, you get 15 milliliters. So this is actually less product than these. Makeup Forever calls this a high-performance multi-use product. It is a breathable 24-hour wear formula that gives high coverage and a matte finish. As with most other concealers, you can use this around the eyes, you can use it on blemishes, and you can also technically use it to sculpt and highlight your face just by choosing a deeper or lighter shade. Okay, I am barefaced, no makeup on, I have skincare and a little bit of sunscreen on, and I'm just going to proceed straight to the concealer and then powder down and leave it for the rest of the day. Good news, bad news is I do have a couple of scabs here to cover up because, 2 nights ago I decided I was expert enough to try extracting some clogged pores, and as usual, this happens. You'd think I'd have learned by now, but apparently not. I'm first going to go in with shade 2.4, and this looks like a perfect skin match for me, so I'm going to see how much it covers, and then if I need to, I will do a little bit of brightening under the eyes where required using a 2.2. Coverage wise, this is definitely on the medium high end, and you obviously can build it up. However, I think because it tends to set just a little bit deeper, it's not quite enough to sort of neutralize the dark discoloration. So I'm going to go in with 2.2. If I had a 2.3, it would be perfect. Now, I'm not sure it's visible on camera, but in real life, this whole area is now a little bit too yellow for the rest of my face. So I'm going to mix in a little 2.2 just to even things out, because I need to wear this for the rest of the day. So this is how it's looking with the concealer on half of my face. I think it looks pretty good. Now the formula does set pretty quickly, so you will need to blend fast. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be if you want to use the huge doe foot applicator in here to do like a huge swatch. You will need to go blend it out really quick, otherwise it sets because this is a MatteVelvet formula. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the huge doe foots. I'd much rather do pinpoint concealing and just blend things out, but to each their own. Now they did send me a third shade, which is 3.6, and this is deeper than my skin tone, however not quite deep enough for me to do contouring with, and also a little bit too warm. I just find for my skin tone that using a concealer or foundation colored contour just doesn't look very natural. I need a slightly more neutral, cool, kind of ashy taupe shade, so I will just stick with contouring colors for contouring, and I won't be using this to contour with. The new Rouge Artists come in this lip brush inspired tube, which kind of looks like a space age monolith. Now the formula is designed for intense color, but you have the option of creating a blur finish, which is so popular right now. The packaging and the bullet itself is also designed to give you higher precision because it's meant to look and feel like a lip brush. Now these have a really interesting formula. They look semi-creamy, but they go on almost like those powdery matte lipsticks in feel. I'm not sure how to describe it. I think you need to put it on to know what I'm talking about. These glide on really smoothly. They are very pigmented and very buildable. I believe the texture is meant to give you some control, because if you do just one swipe, you'll be able to sheer it out and give yourself that powder matte look. But if you just build on more, you get opaque coverage in 2 strokes, and then it looks a little bit creamier and denser. These feel extremely comfortable. They are not drying at all. In fact, my lips are feeling better now than they did when I first started swatching. Now, I thought that the shape of the tip and the shape of the tube was just a gimmick, but I have to say this made it really easy to get precise coverage in a minimal amount of time. So I'm really appreciating the thought that went into designing this. I haven't managed to see the entire collection, but the shades that I have, I do really like, and Makeup Forever is really good with their nudes and their reds in general. So that's it for this first segment. I am going to head off now and go about the rest of my day. At the end of the day or the evening, I will check in and let you guys see how everything is holding up. We're back. It is now just past 6 p.m. I have been wearing this since 9 a.m. in the morning, so it is now 9 hours. And I did blot off some sweat in the afternoon. Didn't see any transfer on the tissue, but it's definitely looking a little bit shiny here now. I'm not expecting the concealer to do a lot of shine control around here because I didn't put much concealer there. It's primarily around my nostrils, here on the little scab, and then under my eyes. So we're just going to focus on those areas. Before I do that though, I'm going to just blot down and we'll see if anything transfers off. So much oil, oh my god. Now I was out in the afternoon for lunch, so I was wearing a face mask. I was just kind of sweating away, and I was walking out in the Singapore heat and humidity, so it is pretty impressive that there isn't a trace of concealer on here. Just quickly, this was the face mask I was wearing earlier, and aside from maybe a little bit of staining around the nose bridge and teeny tiny bit of transfer around the cheek area, which probably came from my blush rather than the concealer, not much actually came off, despite the fact that it was quite a warm day. So I can say if you powder this down properly, it does resist transfer. Although I won't say that the coverage is completely intact, I feel like it's faded a little bit under my eyes where it's dry. The creasing is minimal, it's not too bad. Then again, I didn't powder too much around my laugh lines, so you won't see too much traces of creasing or cracking there because of that. Around my nostrils, it's kind of faded a little bit as well, so you can see my veins. Now there's still coverage on my scabs, but you can see that it's just starting to break down a little, like the coverage is not a perfectly even layer anymore. So I would say if you have oily skin, definitely blot your face every 2 to 3 hours or so, because I think the oil will still break down the concealer in a few hours. So far it's done pretty well. I'm just not sure it would last 24 hours like they claim. At least it wouldn't look good for 24 hours. Now I have a dot of 2.2 and a dot of 2.4. I'm going to blend them together and then see if I can touch up a little. It does okay on smoother areas, but it's not touching up nicely on top of a slightly scabbier bit of skin, which I have here. So it's kind of like clinging around the dry or flaky bits, so you want to be careful of that. On other general areas though, it's touching up okay. Under the eyes, you can get away with touching up just a little, but you need to work fast, and I don't think you can reapply too much because it would look really heavy. This is touching up better than I expected on the dry zones though. And this brings me to the last point, which is the shade range. Now, Makeup Forever has traditionally been pretty good with representing, both the pale and deeper ends of the skin tone. I saw 20 shades on Sephora's website in Singapore, which is decent. However, do remember that 2.2, which I have here, is the palest shade available. So if I'm a 2.3, I think if you're really porcelain fair, you may have trouble finding a matching shade. Now, do I like this more than my other sculpting concealers, namely Tarte, Too Faced, and Dior? Because most of my discolorations are around the under eye area, I do need a little bit more hydration in my formula, and this is just a little bit too matte for me. But if you are using this on general face areas and you have oilier skin than me, then you may actually like this more than the Tarte Shape Tape. Now with the Too Faced, you get more than 50% more product in this tube than in this, so you definitely get more value. I personally find this to be a little bit more creamy and more emollient, so it blends and shears out a little bit more, and on the skin, I feel this has more instant coverage than the Too Faced. Again, if you have oilier skin, I still think this will grab onto your skin and cling on much longer than the Too Faced. As for the Dior, I'm biased because I already love that one. It definitely has way less coverage than this. I'm not above mixing the two of these to see how they would sit, because I do find that one just not enough coverage, but this is a little bit too matte for me, so maybe I would get a perfect formula when I mix those two, but that's just me. I think that's all I want to cover about the MatteVelvet Skin Concealer at this point. If I happen to think of anything that I forgot to mention, I will put it in the comments below. As always, if you've tried this, please let me know what you think and what kind of skin type you have. Otherwise, have a great week. I will see you in the next video.